Very novel, Kira. We must get them in the stores for Christmas.
Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome to Watch Mojo. Today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 best James Bond gadgets.
So if I heard correctly, Scaramanga got away.
Yes, sir.
A car that sprouted wings.
Oh, that's perfectly feasible, sir. As a matter of fact, we're working on one now.
Oh, Q, shut up.
For this list, we're looking at the coolest, campiest, and most iconic gadgets in the Bond franchise, including those utilized by Bond villains such as the Agents of Spectre. However, we will be omitting the non-canon entries in the series, such as Never Say Never Again and 1967's version of Casino Royale. So, which Bond gadget do you wish you had in your arsenal? Let us know in the comments. All right, let's get to it. Number 20. Rolex Submariner. Live and Let Die. Water-resistant watches are a must if you're a jet-setting spy like James Bond. And there are few cooler or more useful than the Rolex Submariner from Live and Let Die.
Just down the street. Good God.
You see, by pulling out this button, sir, it turns the watch into a hyper-intensified magnetic field. Powerful enough to even deflect the path of a bullet. At long range, or so Q claims.
Sir Roger Moore's first outing as 007 was highly influenced by the blaxploitation cinema of hits like Coffee or Shaft. But that didn't mean Live and Let Die was going to abandon Bond's trusty arsenal of gadgets. This watch not only magnetically deflected bullets shot at Bond, but the bezel setting was also modified to spin like a small buzzsaw, enabling James to cut through even the tightest rope. Number 19. Flying Car. The Man with the Golden Gun. Part of the fun of watching old Bond films is enjoying the lighthearted nature of the gadgetry on display, regardless of whether or not the physics actually make any sense. Case in point, the flying car featured in The Man with the Golden Gun from 1974.
I think we've got trouble.
The AMC Matador belongs to Bond villain Scaramanga, the titular Man with the Golden Gun, only it's been modified with a few unique attachments. Scaramanga and his henchman Tattoo drive off with a jet engine, wings, and tail on top of their cars as they make their escape from Bond and Sheriff J.W. Pepper. It honestly looks, well, silly, but we suspend all disbelief and just go along for the ride with this one. Number 18. Prosthetic Arm. Live and Let Die. Bond films are often defined or judged by a number of parameters, whether they be musical themes, villains, love interests, or fancy cars. But let's not forget one other important aspect of the series: henchmen. Tee-Hee was a memorable secondary villain from Live and Let Die, a supporting character to the movie's main villain, Kananga. He's a formidable source of muscle, thanks primarily to one devastating gadget: his prosthetic arm. Tee-Hee decided to turn lemons into lemonade after losing his arm in the mouth of a crocodile. How, you may ask? Why, by adding a metal arm with a crushing claw at the end, of course. It goes a long way in making Bond miserable until 007 finally gets the better of Tee-Hee. Number 17. Poison String. You only live twice. Sometimes the most effective means of assassination involves keeping your distance. Japanese SIS agent Aki unfortunately learns this lesson the hard way, as she takes poison meant for Bond while the pair is sleeping. The lethal dose comes from a Spectre agent who's delivering the poison via a string down to Bond and Aki's bed. Just when it looks as if the attempt on Bond's life is going to be successful, the pair switches places in their sleep and Aki is assassinated. Screenwriter Roald Dahl was reportedly inspired to include this deadly gadget in the script after watching a similar one being used in the 1962 film Shinobi no Mono. We're glad he did, as this scene is one of the most memorable from the early days of Bond. Number 16. Safecracker Copier on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Fans are often divided as to whether or not George Lazenby was a good fit for James Bond, but many agree that his sole cinematic outing as the secret agent on Her Majesty's Secret Service is one heck of a movie.
This never happened to the other fella.
This gadget used by Lazenby is also a fun little bit of spy tech. A safecracker designed to break through combination locks that's also equipped with a little something extra. A miniature photocopier for sensitive documents. It may not be flashy, deadly, or over the top, but this gadget is useful, and it keeps Bond grounded with some real spy work. Number 15. Electrocution Chair, Thunderball. It's easy to forget how spot-on the first Austin Powers film was in terms of its loving parody of classic Bond gimmicks. Remember the Dr. Evil trapdoor gags?
Why must I be surrounded by frickin' idiots?
This was a direct reference to one of the most beloved Bond flicks of all time, 1965's Thunderball. Here, it's Spectre head Ernst Stavro Blofeld who gets the ball rolling, as he uses an electrocution chair to eliminate an associate who's failed the organization.
The culprit is known to me. I've decided on the appropriate action.
The chair then drops, the man is gone, and the chair is now empty, waiting for its next victim. Number 14. Dagger Shoe, From Russia with Love. Man, you just gotta love a good dagger shoe. Nobody expects it, they're deadly as hell, and it's virtually impossible not to look cool while using a pair. Former SMERSH leader and number 3 Spectre agent Rosa Klebb knows this all too well, as the dagger shoe is her weapon of choice. It doesn't matter whether or not the blade has been poisoned. Klebb is deadly and almost always accurate when she uses these. Although, the cinematic adaptation of From Russia with Love sees the agent's attempt on Bond's life thwarted, and she's fatally shot by Tatiana Romanova. Number 13. Odd Jobs Hat, Goldfinger. It could be argued that Bond villains get all of the coolest gadgets, and you would definitely be arguing this point if you were discussing Odd Job from 1964's Goldfinger. That's because his weapon of choice is arguably one of the most iconic in the entire series. A deadly bowler hat with a sharp metal ring lurking within the brim. It slices, dices, and serves Odd Job well. That is, until Bond gets the better of him in one of the film's most memorable scenes. No, it isn't the sharpness of the blade that serves up Odd Job's demise, but rather its metallic nature, as Bond electrocutes the henchman while he's trying to retrieve his weapon from being stuck in between a pair of bars. Number 12. Invisible Aston Martin Vanquish, Die Another Day. We've been firmly entrenched within classic Bond thus far on this list. So, how about a comparatively more recent example from 2002's Die Another Day? Although the film is likely not going to win any awards from fans as one of the series' best, Die Another Day does possess a very memorable vehicular gadget in the form of an invisible car?
Aston Martin call it the Vanquish, we call it the Vanish.
Oh, very good.
That's right. Bond drives an Aston Martin Vanquish in the film, modified with some substantial upgrades in the form of a cloaking device that uses mirrors and screens to turn it, quote, invisible.
Warning, Adaptive camouflage failure.
It's probably one of the coolest moments in this otherwise divisive Bond film. Number 11. Cigarette toothpaste bomb. License to Kill. Many Bond fans welcomed the fresh blood when Timothy Dalton took over the role of 007 for 1987's The Living Daylights. Dalton brought back a sense of urgency, seriousness, and even violence for a character that was becoming increasingly parodic. License to Kill was Dalton's swan song as Bond, but he went out with a literal bang thanks to this combination combustible.
Dentonite toothpaste, to be used sparingly. It's the latest in plastic explosive.
I could do with some plastic.
A tiny plastic explosive is disguised within an unassuming tube of dentonite toothpaste, while the detonator is similarly hidden as a pack of Lark cigarettes. Bond uses both when attempting to assassinate the vicious and sadistic drug lord Frank Sanchez. Although he doesn't succeed at this point, don't worry. Sanchez gets his in spectacular and poetic fashion at the film's climax.
You want to know why?
Number 10. Crocodile Vessel. Octopussy. Bond fans were firmly entrenched within a humorous spy parody mode by the time 1983's Octopussy arrived, which perhaps helps explain the ludicrousness of our next pick.
Let me go, damn it, there's a bomb in there!
The crocodile vessel was a submersible craft designed to look like a crocodile. This was to help Bond blend in a bit as he attempts to infiltrate Octopussy's lair, sneaking in under the cover of darkness. Was this gadget more than a bit silly? Yes it was. But it's all in good fun. And hey, at least it was effective, right? Sometimes that's all that really matters. Number 9. Dart Gun. Moonraker. 1979's Moonraker was clearly inspired by the worldwide phenomenon that was Star Wars, putting 007 out in space and inserting as many lasers into the plot as possible. That doesn't mean that a good old-fashioned dart gun was going out of style, however.
It's activated by nerve impulses from the wrist muscles.
Like this?
Oh, thank you, 007.
Be careful, will you?
In fact, this particular model came in handy for Bond at a very crucial moment. The dart gun from Moonraker is mounted at the wrist and doesn't need a trigger to fire its payload of poisonous or piercing darts. Instead, the tiny weapon uses the wearer's nerve impulses to fire, which assists Bond immensely as he uses this to incapacitate Hugo Drax at the film's climax.
Desolated, Mr. Bond.
Heartbroken, Mr. Drax. Allow me. Take a giant step for mankind.
Number 8. Submarine Lotus Esprit, also known as Wet Nelly, the spy who loved me. The next gadget on our list is the first to possess a nickname of Nelly, but spoiler alert, it will not be the last. Wet Nelly was featured in 1977's The Spy Who Loved Me, perhaps one of the best Roger Moore Bond outings, as a tactical submarine Lotus Esprit.
Can you swim?
This custom Lotus Esprit S1 was modified to transform into an underwater submersible, armed to the teeth with tons of gadgets. You want missiles? We got missiles, both underwater and surface to air. You want incapacitating extras like smoke screens, cement, and mines? Done! With Wet Nelly, Bond was never out of options for getting the job done. Number 7. False fingerprints. Diamonds are forever. There's nothing super elaborate or awe-inspiring about our next pick, but rather a subtle little piece of spy tech that makes all the difference in 1971's Diamonds Are Forever.
I've got to hand it to you, Q. Quite ingenious.
Oh, an obvious little notion. Thought it might come in handy.
The film was Sean Connery's swan song to the official Eon canon of Bond films, although the actor would reprise the role in the unofficial entry titled Never Say Never Again. Here, Bond is pretending to be the hired gun Peter Franks while on his way to meet a contact, fellow smuggler Tiffany Case.
Good. Then we can start by saving the cute remarks until after you get the diamonds into Los Angeles.
Well, where are they now?
That's not your problem. Your problem is getting them in.
007 uses false fingerprints to fool Tiffany's biometric scanner and Case herself into believing the ruse. Although, by the end of the film, Tiffany has switched sides and assists Bond in defeating her former boss, Blofeld. Number 6. Wallace WA-116, also known as Little Nellie. You only live twice. It's time for the next Nellie on our list, a Wallace WA-116 portable gyrocopter that Bond uses in the 1967 film You Only Live Twice.
What is Little Nellie?
Oh, she's a wonderful girl. Very small. Quite fast. Can do anything. Just your type.
A toy helicopter?
No, it's certainly not a toy. You'll see.
The autogyro is affectionately known as Little Nellie, after the iconic British music hall performer Nellie Wallace. Little Nellie is similar to her underwater counterpart Wet Nellie in the fact that she's basically an armada in the sky. Want proof? Well, the teeny tiny duffel bag that contains the autogyro features, once assembled, machine guns, mines, missiles, and even rocket launchers, for crying out loud. It's spy-level overkill in the best way possible. Number 5. Seagull Snorkel, Goldfinger. 1964's Goldfinger is arguably where the James Bond cinematic franchise cohesively came together as a brand, differentiating itself as a leader among other spy pictures.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
From the music and clothing to gadgetry and action, Goldfinger is a favorite among many fans. But that doesn't mean the movie was above being, let's say, a little goofy. Case in point, this handy but honestly ridiculous gadget that's just a wetsuit with a snorkel on top in the shape of a seagull. We know it makes for a great disguise for when you're lurking about underwater, but we can't help but laugh when we see it every time. Number 4. The Golden Gun, the man with the golden gun. One need only listen to the theme song of 1974's The Man with the Golden Gun to take away the gist of what makes Bond villain Scaramanga so dangerous.
He has a powerful weapon. He charges a million a shot. An assassin that's second to none. The man with the golden gun.
The lyrics, written by Don Black and sung by Scottish singer Lulu, speak of the titular man charging $1 million for each shot of his powerful weapon. It's an otherwise unassuming pistol that's assembled using a pen, cigarette lighter, case, and cufflink for a trigger.
I now regret having even considered employing your services, but that is beside the point.
It may not seem all that impressive, especially considering the golden gun only contains 1 bullet, but 1 is all Scaramanga needs to get the job done. After all, no hitman can match this Bond villain's $1 million skill. Number 3. Anti-Shark Gun, Live and Let Die. You could be forgiven for comparing this strange gadget to something Adam West's Batman might carry in his utility belt. Bat spray, anyone? However, the anti-shark gun does come into play at a critical moment for 007 at the climax of Live and Let Die.
But this gun, I find it particularly fascinating. What is it?
A shark gun, naturally, with compressed gas pellets.
The gun itself contains pressurized pellets that use compressed air within their targets, causing a deadly explosion. Bond uses one of these pellets to dispose of Kananga by making him swallow one, after which the Bond villain is seen shooting up out of the water and exploding in an almost comical fashion. It is perhaps the most memorable death of a Bond villain ever. Number 2. Trick Briefcase, From Russia with Love. Sometimes you just can't beat the classics. From Russia with Love may be one of the most underrated Bond films, perhaps due to its placement between the iconic Dr. No and Goldfinger entries. As such, it's still very much rooted in classic spy cinema, and this is reflected in this handy gadget, the Trick Briefcase.
Now, normally to open a case like that, you move the catches to the side. If you do, the cartridge will explode in your face. Now, to stop the cartridge exploding,
Turn the catches horizontally.
It's a piece of equipment that's actually standard issue for all 00 agents, with bonds containing the same gear other MI6 operatives possess in the field. The case contains weapons, of course, such as an infrared AR-7 rifle, but it also has some tricks up its proverbial sleeve, including a spring-loaded knife and blinding tear gas that Bond uses to dispense with SMERSH/Spectre agent Red Grant during the film's final act. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Aston Martin DB5 Goldfinger. James Bond has driven many iconic cars over the years, but there are few as iconic as the Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger.
You'll be using this Aston Martin DB5 with modifications. Now, pay attention, please.
This 1964 entry is usually seen by fans as one of the series' best, with this car also serving as a highlight for 007 gearheads. It's simply the coolest Bond car ever, featuring bulletproof screens, an ejector seat, Browning machine gun, tire slashers, and more, all while possessing a sleek appearance. Did we mention that one of the promotional cars used for Thunderball sold for nearly $6.5 million at auction in August of 2019?
You're joking.
Although we venture to say this thing is priceless, that is a pretty fair amount for this piece of iconic spy cinema. Bond's love of Aston Martins continues in No Time to Die, which is all I will say. So, are there any Bond gadgets that you would use on a daily basis? Any we missed? Ask Q to build you something in the comments below. Or come tell me on Twitter or Instagram at Rebecca Brayton or on my YouTube channel. See ya!